Gareth Bale wants to buy Cardiff City, or something to that regard. That is the story doing the rounds in the press at the moment around Gareth Bale fronting up a consortium looking to buy the club recently relegated to League One from the Championship, who've undergone a turbulent time under owner Vincent Tan. Now, Gareth Bale, of course, was a product of the Southampton Academy rather than the Cardiff Academy, but it's a club incredibly close to his heart. A proud Welshman, his uncle, played for Cardiff, and he went on with an amazing career, obviously for Wales, but also for Real Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur. And the story is, initially, the first story that broke on Gareth Bale and club ownership was around Plymouth Argyle. That seems to have been wide of the mark. And he confirmed a couple of weeks ago, talking to Sky Sports, that he was interested in buying Cardiff City, and the latest rumours are that a bid of £40 million has been tabled. Now, the first thing to look at is this a continuation of a trend that we've seen in football ownership with celebrity owners? You know, Tom Brady being one of those with Birmingham City, JJ Watt another, Luka Modric, of course, now a co-owner of Swansea City. My hunch reading Gareth Bale's quotes and seeing the way that he's almost fronting this consortium is that it'll be less a case of him being a minority shareholder and basically a name to go alongside the consortium. It feels like he's effectively fronting it and will be the face of it. Whether or not it's his money, we don't know. There's very little known about where the money's coming from, apart from reports of it being American money, effectively. But it seems like he's front and centre of this deal, which is exciting in part and should mean that if it does go through, that he has some influence as to what goes on. Now, we have to look at Vincent Tan and his time in charge of Cardiff City, which saw them fly pretty close to the sun, almost into the sun, with that season in the Premier League, finishing just 2 points off Brighton, who finished in 17th, and Cardiff in 18th, getting relegated under Neil Warnock. When you consider where Brighton are now and you consider where Cardiff are now, you know, it feels like a bit of a sliding doors moment. And it's so difficult because you have to look at the recent years and see the absolute chaos that has engulfed Cardiff City under Vincent Tan since the days of Warnock, and then Neil Harris, who of course did a very good job taking Cardiff to a playoff semi-final against Fulham the season after relegation. You saw Mick McCarthy come in and do okay to start with, but after that it's been chopping and changing managers consistently. Steve Morrison, of course, coming in, Mark Hudson with that spell. I've seen Errol Bullitt, Sabri Lamucci. And this is the issue for me, just bad decision after bad decision, compounding the damage on Cardiff City that eventually culminated in a bottom place finish in a relegation down to League One. And Tan, giving his first statement, his first letter to the fans since promotion to the Premier League back in 2018, held his hand up and admitted that about these issues. But always the problem that we have with clubs who look at an owner and want them out, and an owner himself, is that Vincent Tan would say, but I've pumped money into this club. This isn't a case of a penny pincher. Now, yes, of course, he has it. And yes, Cardiff fans would probably like to see him, be at the club more often and certainly treat maybe the club's heritage and history with more respect. He would say he's pumped 200 million into the club and has written off plenty of debts. And that, in my mind, is where we could have issues with this deal going through, because £40 million for a League One club is a significant amount of money. That is something to note. If you look at Leyton Orient, it was sold for £20 million relatively recently. Yes, of course, and that wasn't including the stadium, albeit they're a London club, but you'd say a smaller club or a less valuable club than Cardiff themselves. But generally, 40 million for a club in League One is significant amounts of money. But if Vincent Tan is to accept a bid of 40 million, then he is going to have to accept that he's going to lose a lot of money in terms of the money that he put into the club. When Vincent Tan did this, it wasn't necessarily a case where he was expecting to lose it. It was investment in the hope to return to the Premier League and be able to grow the value of the asset itself. So that seems to me like it's going to be an issue. You also have the Emiliano Sala debate, which continues with Nantes, and what happens in that regard after a sale, I don't know, but you have to assume that the continued legal wranglings there are going to play a part in this too. But what we should say is this should be a really positive step for Cardiff City, because yes, of course, Vincent Tan may say that he's put money into the club, but in terms of the way it's been mismanaged and the way that we've seen them spiral from being a side in the Premier League and then a side competing to get back into the Premier League to then one who couldn't really get out of the bottom half of the Championship, and then one who eventually fell through the trapdoor with very little strategic planning, no succession planning, chopping and changing managers and styles and recruitment. moments where they would spend a lot of money in order to try and reach their goals. Other times, other summers where it felt like penny pinching. It's been a really difficult few seasons for Cardiff City, and fingers crossed with someone like Gareth Bale at the helm, that would change. But it's all going to be eyes on Vincent Tan now to see if he's willing to accept the deal. Reports seem to suggest that the 40 million bid could be rejected, but there is optimism that it could go through. But remember that Tan said in his statement he's fully committed to getting Cardiff City back to the Championship at the very least. So we'll have to see how far Bale and his consortium are willing to go.